Thank you. Leo and I figure we've hosted at least 100, probably close to 150 people. It's been a real delight. We've learned a lot. But the biggest thrill probably was getting to go to someone's house in return. We had a lady 4 or 5 years ago, a lovely lady from Finland, from Helsinki, Finland, named Uli Katanen. Very tall, statuesque blonde, who arrived at our house and said she was a lawyer. Her profession in Helsinki is a lawyer for international kidnapping, was her specialty. And she arrived at our house and she had ridden around with the Denver police that day with domestic violence. She said, I was so frightened, I thought, what if something happens to me? Who will know? Anyway, we had a lovely evening with Uli, and during the conversation, it came out that Leo's grandparents came from Finland, quite a ways north of Helsinki. So we kept in touch. She sent some things to Leo about Laplanders and where his grandparents had come from. A couple of years later, I sent her a note. We kept in contact, and I sent her a note. We are coming to Helsinki. And I gave her 3 or 4 months' notice. If it's possible to meet up with you for lunch or coffee or something, that would be a delight. Her directions were, when you arrive at the hotel, give them this phone number and stand still. And we did, and her office was about a block away. And she came over and said, can tomorrow be mine with you? So she and her partner came and took us to Sibelius's house, which was a treat. They spent the whole day with us. We learned that Sibelius practiced the piano while his wife and 5 little girls sat quietly in the one room. As a mother of children, I couldn't imagine that myself. Anyway, we had a nice day with them, and they took us to kind of like a country club to dinner, I think. And I thought, this is lovely having time with Uli. I just kind of was hoping to see us a home. And after dinner, they took us to their home. She and Uli are an interesting pair. Do you want to tell about that part, Leo? About their home?
Yes, kind of an interesting situation, because they were both living individually in, I would say, a 3 or 4 story apartment building. And they didn't know each other, and somehow our romance started to blossom. But in order to perpetuate this romance, one of them had to run down 3 flights of stairs, cross a patio, and then run up 3 flights of stairs. Well, as this romance developed, they started looking for a way of simplifying their life. And the way they did this was to knock a hole in the wall between their 2 apartments. And so what you ended up with, you had an apartment over here that was his, apartment over here that was hers, and then you had a hole in the wall with a big door. Now her husband had several children. They occupied his former apartment, and collectively, Uti and her husband, then they occupied her apartment. And so it was wonderful to see the creative approach that they came up with to kind of perpetuate this romance that ultimately resulted in marriage, and it was just an awesome experience.
It was great. It was fun to be in their home, and everything was as you would imagine in a Scandinavian home. Minimalistic, but very nice. He was an engineer and she was an attorney, so we got to see what cash brought in that version. So that was a real treat for us. Thank you.